Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters, my knitting and nattering podcast. I'm Jennifer and it's been about a month since I last recorded one. Today is the 8th of May and the last one I recorded was the 6th of April. So it's been just over a month and hopefully I will get my sea legs back. Kind of hardly even know where to start. The reason it's been a month, I'll just throw this out. First, there were 2 weeks of Easter break. Both my children, I've got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old in P1 was on school holidays for 2 weeks. So it was just more difficult to have time to do this. I didn't get a lot of knitting done. So I did that, and then we went away on holiday the second week. And I was having really bad asthma attacks, which carried through to the third week, getting that back under control. And then this last week, I was basically just too tired all the time. I had too much going on. I just didn't have the headspace to record a podcast. So it's been 4 weeks. I'm really sorry about that. I try to do this every week. But yeah, I'm back and hopefully I will get my sea legs quickly and we can keep going. I have a couple of finished objects to show you. The first one is this shawl that I'm wearing. This is a very large, I don't think I can even get the whole thing, a very large, very soft, very scrumptious is appropriate shawl, and this was, I mentioned, I had just cast it on the April project for Boost Your Knitting. Sorry, trying to put it back on the way I had it. Boost Your Knitting, another year of techniques, the Arnold Culliford knitting technique book for the year. And this is fixing lace mistakes. The idea being that if you make a mistake, you can then drop back several rows and knit them back up, which is a thing I have done, although not as dramatically as my friend Emily K. Williams did a video on Instagram that went viral amongst knitters. And the tutorial video is fairly impressive for this one as well. And the tutorial videos are just on their YouTube channel, or you can go to their website, Arnold, I think it's acknitwear.com, or Arnold Culliford. Or you can go to the Ravelry group, which is where I find everything. But they do have their tutorial video for dropping it down and then knitting back up. And I did make several mistakes. I usually find them on the next row, so because I'm pretty good with lace with just seeing how things line up properly. So if it doesn't line up, I stop and I'm looking. So I'm not usually making mistakes several rows back. But then again, if you remember my double knit hat, you will know sometimes I do make huge mistakes many rows back, and that is extra fun when it's double knitting because there's two layers of fabric. But on this particular one, it's a fairly straightforward lace, and while I did make mistakes and have to drop down and do it back up again, there was nothing so significant as to have taken pictures for my own Instagram or anything. So the pattern is the Sterlyn Shawl, and that's by Joji Locatelli, and it is knit in fyberspates scrumptious 4-ply, and I believe this is teal, magenta, and ultramarine, and these were the colors suggested by Jen Arnold Culliford. They have 2 kits. They had one you could order for the whole year, but they have 2 kits. They had the spring kit, and this was the Jen's Choice. There was Designer's Choice or Jen's Choice for the colorways. And in fact, these colors were pretty much what decided me on. I had to have Jen's Choice to do this. And then my other project is May's Boost Your Knitting project. April, this shawl, they say is the biggest one, if not the biggest one, certainly close to the biggest one. The biggest project, it took me the whole month. I finished, I think, the 29th and then blocked it on the 30th. I'd wanted to wear it with my Easter dress. My Easter dress is teal. They're out there really quickly. I thought I would be underdressed for Easter. I was not. So no one at the church we went to particularly seemed dressed up, more so than they usually would be. They were just kind of in their regular, nice but not fancy clothes. But anyway, I had wanted to wear this shawl. Sorry, I kicked the table that the thing was on. I had wanted to wear this shawl for Easter. It was not even remotely close to done. So I did finish it like the 29th. But I finished it before the end of the month, and I wound my yarn for the next project, which are the totally tubular mittens. They were mittens. I modified the pattern to make mine mitts. And this is by Sarah Hatton, who is a fairly big name in knitwear design. And this is knit in the Arnold Colorford's own brand yarn. This is something to knit with Aran in the colorway Jade, which you may remember I knit a hat in the Jade and the Mist a while back, where it had a cable in front of stripes of the gray and the light silver. So I have these mitts, and I have finished both of them. Ta-da! And they have this, I don't know if I can even show this while we're in. This really nice, they're faux cables. They're actually passed over stitches to make this kind of loopy bit. But I love how this goes up the thumb. I don't think I've seen a thumb quite like this before. When I modified it, I added the cuff to the top, and then I matched, I cannot turn my hands this way, I matched the little cable to the top where the thumb is. But the increased stitches for the thumb are on either side of this cable panel, and then when you put stitches on hold to come back and knit the thumb after, it's the cable panel that goes on. I'd not seen that before. I think it is really nifty. If you can hear that, one of the cats is using the litter box, which is just the other side of the door to the conservatory. It's in the little cloakroom there. Yeah, but these are nice and scrumptious, and I even wore them today. It was really cold when I went to pick up Kitten, my 6-year-old, from school today. I kind of wished I'd wore knee socks or possibly even tights under my trousers. I had these and I had a hat on, and I was thinking I could have done with a scarf and knee socks and been a fair bit warmer, or wore a bigger coat. I did have a jumper on. I had a lightish jumper, which is actually knit out of red in this yarn, the Scrumptious 4-ply. I had a lace jumper on, so it wasn't, I mean, it's not like I just wore a shell. I just wasn't warm enough today. So I did wear these. These have not been blocked, but if you wear them enough, that also will stretch out the stitches and even them out a bit and stuff. One of them is slightly longer than the other. It's going to be the slightly longer one. At one point, I did an extra row before my repeats, so that extra row wound up in the distance below the thumb, and then when I did the bind off, I did an extra row at the top, so it's 2 rows longer. You can see it's just a tiny bit. They both have the same stitch count, but this one's just ever so slightly, just 2 rows longer. It happens when I'm wearing them. No one will ever be able to tell. Yeah, so I finished these already. That pattern came out on the 1st and today's the 8th, so it took me a week. A lot of that was that because I was modifying them, I had to get the length right and then figure out where in the repeat on the cable pattern I needed to stop to get it mirrored with the bottom, and just generally having children. It's a really simple project, and I'd say you certainly could take them out and about with you mine were never at a point where I could easily work on them without looking at what I was doing. So they were never a go out with me project. My go out with me project is one of my works in progress, and I finished the first of these little toddler ribbed socks. I'm not using a pattern for this. I just did a 2x2 rib. I had this sock which I knit for Kitten when she was little, and these fit Catherine, my 2-year-old, really nicely. These have an afterthought heel, and this has a more standard heel flap, but I made them to be just a little longer in the foot because of the rib. It looks narrower, but it'll stretch to be the same. I used the same stitch count and went up a slight needle size, but then I made them just a tiny bit. Let's see if I can get it so you can see. They're just, there we go, just a little bit longer, so that she'll be able to wear these a bit longer, because these basically fit right now. So I knit socks that would be one shoe size up. So I just finished this first one. I had done most of the toe decreases, so I just kind of did the last couple and bound it off and cast on the second sock. So you can see I've got it on a long circular needle. I've just cast on the second sock, so now that can be my walking around project. And the other work in progress that I have to show you, I did work on my Brayville cardigan. I got that done, the sleeves up, and I knit, I believe when I last showed it to you, I'd finished not the sleeves, sorry, the shoulders. I knit the neckband, which is all in one, up one side, around, and then down. So I did knit that, but I didn't find it before coming in tonight. This isn't the smoothest one I've ever done. The other work in progress I have worked on, I don't know what that was there, are my Munlochy socks by Clare Devine, and this is written for the Black Isle Yarns Killeen sock, which is a BFL merino blend, and these are small flock, local flock wools. So this one's BFL mohair, so it's a nylon-free sock yarn. The mohair lends the strength. So this is the first one. It looks like Libby, my cat, is going to come join me. And the second one, as you can see, is coming towards, I'm almost ready to start my toe decreases. So hopefully next time you see me, these will be done. I'm just gonna move this out of the way to hopefully make a nice welcoming lap. Oh no, she's left again. So that's what I have to show that I've worked on. I would like to get my Brayville cardigan done in time for my birthday, which is 20 days, at the 28th. I don't think I will actually have it done. I just need to, right now, I need to pick up the stitches for the sleeves, and that's kind of something I need to be able to sit and concentrate for, and I've neither had that time during the day, nor have I had the mental capacity after Catherine's gone to sleep to do it kind of this time. Speaking of which, it is 9:45 right now. As you can see, it is not fully dark outside. The last one I recorded was a month earlier, and an hour later I was doing that one after 10 o'clock because I had to write out my notes today. I sat down and wrote out my notes before dinner while I was making dinner. Dinner was in the oven. I'm like, I'm just going to write out my notes. And then I got up to check on something, and Catherine found my pen and scribbled. So, life of the 2-year-old. Fortunately not on today's notes. I think she scribbled on one of the previous week's notes. So yeah, not fully dark out there. I do have the overhead lights on. I know the lighting is a bit harsh, but hopefully soon I won't need to have the lights on when I do this. I think the sun set right around 9:30 or so. I don't know what time it set, but it got darker around 9:30 when I was coming out here to do this. And yeah, So that's my work in progress. I would like to finish the Brayville. Hopefully the next time I see you, I'll have finished my Munlochy socks, and possibly even Catherine's little red ribbed socks. And then I can have one of my my acquisitions I can show you. I think I'm just going to leave this in the plastic. You can see I ordered, this is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, which is the same as my red over here, and that I've done several socks in. And these are the 4 Winwick Mum colors. I wrote down their names. There's Hidden Gems, Wildflower, Bright Side, and Seascape, and I don't know which is which. 872 is Wildflower. Bright Side is 874, which must be this one. Seascape 873 is the blues and teals, so this one must be Hidden Gem. And then I also ordered, I think this is Rum Paradise. This is from the cocktail collection. And I don't know why I hadn't gotten it because I love it. I've knit a couple of the cocktail socks. I knit the blue ones, though the heel has already had a hole in it. I have not been wearing those a lot, and the heel has a hole in it, so I'm kind of upset about that. But I need to just darn that, and then I can wear those again. And I've got the green stripy cocktail one, and I've got a couple more of the bird ones, which are their other stripy ones. The West Yorkshire Spinners is one of my go-to yarns. I really like their colors. I prefer opal as a yarn for commercial sock yarns, but I like the colorways for West Yorkshire Spinners, and it's British Flocks. I bought some ready-made socks for Chris at the same time, and they say British Flocks make better socks or something like that. They do make really nice socks. I've got a pair in their pink stripy colorway for the ready-made socks. I find they're very thick and they run a bit large, but for kind of just wearing around the house, they're really nice and warm and cozy. And I know Chris had the green ones, and this time I got him, I did get him, they don't have any of the Winwick Mum colors in the ready-made socks, but I did get him the Rum Paradise, and he's basically not taken them off since then. I got him the Rum Paradise and a couple of the other stripy socks. He had some of the bird socks before, but they're getting holes in them. So I bought him 3 more pairs. I got him the purple and green one and the rainbowy one that he's been wearing, and I can't remember what the other color I got this time. I do not have the problem of a husband who only wants things in black and gray and brown and taupe, and Chris likes bright colors, even more so than I do. So when I finish my wee red socks, I will cast on one of these, probably one of the rainbow colors, if I'm honest, because I fancy me some nice rainbow socks. I love rainbow socks. I've got a couple pairs of rainbow socks, and I think I can always use more. So that's kind of knitting news. And family, there is so much, and I basically wanted to tell you about everything along the way. The first week of Easter holidays was really nice. We got together with friends a couple times. We went and did stuff just us a couple times. Kitten was really well behaved. On October half term, there was a lot more strife and whinging and just generally not being as pleasant to be around. And I know I've mentioned she's been so nice lately. Just a much nicer, the little boo-boo I'm used to, really. She's really just seems to have outgrown the snotty phase she was in recently. So we had a really nice holiday the first week. I'm just gonna have a sip of my tea. Kitten and Catherine were playing really well together, which they hadn't always been doing. Kitten had been doing more pushback of, not wanting to play with her baby sister, but I think with her mood improvement and with Catherine getting just that little bit older, they've been doing a lot better play together. And then the second week, we spent 4 nights at Crieff Hydro in one of their self-catering cottages. The only two downsides. The only downside the hotel is involved with is that by the time we were looking to book things, like things got booked out from under us. I had them in my cart. I was trying to pay for them, and it was like, oh no, you can't, your cart's empty. You can't pay for that. But we were eventually able to get Christina in. They have complimentary childcare. They have a playroom that's supervised and everything. So I got her in 2 sessions there, which is what comes complimentary with the booking for the cabins. If you're in the hotel proper, you get 2 sessions a day. But she got 2 for the time we were there, and she really liked it. She had lots of fun, wanted to go back, wanted to spend more time there. Then when we were there, I wasn't able to get Catherine into any, because with the ratio of children to adults is lower. You have to have more adults per children. I think they can only watch 3 kids rather than, it's like 8 or 10 or something at Christina's age. It was 8 when she was in nursery. 3 to 5-year-olds, it's 8. And I think 6, I don't know what the numbers are. It must be higher because her teacher can watch like 20 kids for 1 adult. I don't know how that changes for a more nursery environment, childcare environment rather than a school. Either way, I didn't get Catherine in, and I think that's okay because she's even, like the night before, the Saturday before Easter, I was like, oh, I got you a new dress. I got Christina a new dress. Mummy's got an old dress that she hasn't worn in a while, so we can get all dressed up pretty tomorrow to go to church. And she basically burst into tears and started saying, no, home daddy, home daddy, home daddy. So she stayed home with daddy. She did wear her pretty dress. And I had really cute pictures from Easter. But I don't even know, like at this point, they're so far back on my phone that I don't know how easy it would be to add them in. So I'm not going to bother. Really cute pictures from Easter. My children had such a nice time. Even with Chris watching Catherine at home, he was able to go out in the garden and hide a bunch of eggs that I had prepped the night before, plastic eggs. I even found a bunch on Amazon that came with toys, so I just had to put them in eggs, and we had other eggs, and Kitten wanted Hatchimals, which are little eggs with little things inside of them, and you have to rub them to get them warm, and then the eggshell breaks and you can get the little toy out. So I'd seen them on sale and I bought a whole bunch of those. And then I put the Hatchimals in the plastic eggs as well and hid them out in the garden. And it was so nice and sunny. I'm skipping ahead of it to Easter now, but it was so nice and sunny that the little chocolate eggs that were in the plastic eggs in the sun melted. So I had to stick them in the fridge to cool them down before we could get them out of their little plastic eggs. But yeah, Catherine did not want to go to church. She did not want to go to the creche, which is a little childcare at the church. So it's just as well I wasn't able to get her in at Crieff Hydro. We would drop Christina off at her one, and then there were some really big trampolines outside, and there was swimming. I went swimming with Catherine the first day when Kitten had the play area, which is called Big Country. We went swimming, and the other time we kind of just wandered around and did fun stuff. We wound up meeting a horse who thought her yellow welly boots might be an apple, so it came over and gave him a snuff and then stayed for scritches. And when I tried to leave, it leaned over with its horsey nose and almost knocked me off my feet. It was like, no, we're not done yet. So I gave it more strokes and scritches, and that was a lot of fun for us. We went back later, and there had also been a pony in the paddock, and the pony came over as well, and then the horse was worried the pony would get its apple boots, so it pushed the pony away. But we got to pet both of them, and there was a little bunny, like a run. It had geese and bunnies in it, and there was a little bunny that saw us and came hopping over, and so we fed it daisies through the wall, little like clover daisies. And it was just a really nice time. They really liked the trampolines. They wanted to go on pony rides, but those, like, they hadn't even been an option when we were looking at the list of activities that kids can do that you can sign them up for a little extra. But yeah, they really want to do the ponies. They had a really big playground outside that was really nice. And we were able to do a Tesco order to have it delivered. Like, we check-in is at 4 o'clock, I think is the earliest you can check in. And between 5 and 6, the Tesco van basically went to a third of the cabins that we could see with food deliveries. And so we got a delivery for the following day. And yeah, it was really cute. It was very much like a prefab kind of cabin. You could hear the draft wind coming in around the windows, and like you could see cracks and where some of the walls went together and stuff. Not so much the outside walls, but definitely the inside walls. Like the door jamb, there's a bit of a crack halfway where you could see the light through, but it had a wood burning stove in it that came with a load of wood, and you could get more wood. And the radiators worked really well. It was quiet. It was nice. We had a bunk bed for the girls, and then there was a little trundle that pulled out under the bunk bed. So I slept in there with Kitten and Catherine, and Chris had the double bed. He does not sleep well with like snoring and kids coming in and out and babies waking up and stuff. So he got his own room and I was with the kids. That's why we got the cabin, because it was cheaper to get a cabin for 4 days than it was to get a hotel room for 2 nights. 2 hotel rooms for 2 nights plus food. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it was worked out really well, and we had a good time. The only other problem was it's up a really steep hill, so the hotel's kind of like here, and then the cabins are up here, and it was causing me asthma attacks. And I had my daily inhaler, my brown inhaler, and my rescue inhaler, and then there'd been another rescue inhaler in I brought my slightly larger shoulder bag, and there had been a rescue inhaler in there that I didn't take out. So we got, up this giant hill, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm having trouble breathing. So I went to my rescue inhaler, and I had 1 puff. I was like, oh, no, it's empty. There's nothing in there. So I pulled out the other one from my shoulder bag, and it expired in 2017. So I tried it, but it really wasn't helping. So I was using my brown inhaler. I usually use it once a day in the morning. The thing is, like, you can do it 4 times a day, up to 2 puffs at a time. So I was using it a lot, but it wasn't really helping enough. It wasn't enough to handle that hill, especially since often I'd be walking up at Carrie and Catherine. And she was also, like, she went up the hill and then she was wheezing and coughing and throwing up from the coughing. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Sorry. That was the thing that convinced us that no, she definitely has, I need to get her checked out for asthma. Because I think that's what I do. I wheeze and I cough. It's not so much the wheezing, it's the coughing and the short of breath and the coughing, and then you throw up from the coughing. And that's what she does. She coughs and she throws up from the coughing. In fact, she did it tonight. They were running around after dinner so much that eventually she just threw up, coughed and threw up a little bit. So that was the only downside, was not being able to go up that hill well. But then I discovered if I went kind of the long way around on the road rather than the footpath, it was a much gentler ascent and didn't even take that much longer. Although there weren't any pavements on the road, so that's the only thing, is you'd have to be a little more careful about cars. So, highly recommended. We would completely do again. We looked and there are no midweek bookings. You can either do Monday to Friday or Friday to Monday are the only 2 ones that they offer for the bookings, and the cabins we were in were the only ones that are all close to the hotel, because they've got a really large property, and they have another area that's like a mile away where they have like the zip lining and the off-roading, either in like jeeps or mountain bikes, archery, things like that that are more outdoorsy and for big kids. So they've got cabins in both places, and the one we were in was the only one where all of that type of cabin were by the hotel. And the other cabins, it's an extra £20 a night to request a specific location. And since we don't have a car, if we were at the other place, that would not really work for us. But the ones we wanted were all booked up anyway for the summer. We got home and we're like, let's look at booking our next holiday right away. So yeah, we haven't entirely decided. We don't want to do a shorter weekend wrap, but we'll see. Yeah, but we'll definitely keep it in mind for future holidays. I think really it's the kitchen that made that perfect for us, so that we could eat without having to be reliant on taking small children to a restaurant. Yeah, so that was Easter holidays. We came back, we had Easter, we had a really gorgeous, basically Easter holidays through to this last week, week and a half, were gorgeous and warm and unseasonably sunny. I don't know if you can see this on camera. I'll loosen my watch strap a little. I've got a tan line. I don't think it's showing up. Let's see if I take my watch off all the way. No, you can kind of see it. It's a little bit. Anyway, I've got tan lines on from my watch, and my hands are noticeably darker than like Catherine's tummy. Her arms are darker than her tummy. So we all managed to get a little bit of a tan already, just being out in the sun, walking to and fro places, and yeah, it was really, really nice. And then the 2 days after Easter, the Tuesday, I guess late Monday night, Miss Chrissy arrived, my BFF, and her 3 kids, and her husband had to go to the US for a little while first, so he only just joined this last weekend. But my BFF from middle school, from when we were 11, I think we met. We hated each other at first, and then we met at school. We hated each other, and then we found out we both lived in this really small community in the middle of nowhere, where neither of us had any friends. Over summer break, we ran into each other walking walking around the neighborhood, and we saw each other and we're like, oh, you live here? I didn't know you lived here. Yeah, you live here? Do you want to hang out? And basically we hung out since then. And she's very good at keeping track of people. I'm not. I'm very good at paying attention to the people who are right in front of me. I've worked as an adult. I try to reach out to reciprocate to people, but it's never been my strong suit. Anyway, she managed to hang on to me, and we are still friends all this many years later, and they are visiting. They're traveling, and her kids are homeschooled, so they're doing a big world trip right now. They no longer want to live in the San Francisco Bay Area. It is not a place. Everyone that they know is so spread out, and you have to drive an hour to go anywhere or do anything, and it was just not good for them. They need to be in a smaller area is what they've decided for their family. And her husband can work remotely, so he doesn't have to be present, and he can work anywhere in the world and keep his job. So yeah, they're doing a year's or more. They sold their house for an insane amount of money, frankly. I've seen their house, and it is smaller than the house I live in, an insane amount of money because it's the Bay Area. And so they're traveling the world, they're seeing what they can see, they're and they're visiting me now. I would like them to move to Scotland. I am completely like Team Scotland, and her kids are voting for Scotland. The restriction, of course, is that the UK is not handing out visas right now unless they absolutely have to. So it's, yeah, we'll see. Post-Brexit. I mean, if the UK left, no, if Scotland left the Union, Scotland would completely let them come here. And if the UK goes through with Brexit, they will probably reopen some of the more highly qualified visa options that they no longer have. So we'll see. I mean, it's not impossible that they can move here, but the way things are right now, there's no real way they could move to Scotland and live here. But yeah, one could always, I mean, they could even just wind up somewhere closer, somewhere in Europe. But the next place they're seriously looking as a potential place to move is New Zealand. That is not next on their itinerary, just kind of the country they're looking at. So yeah, they're visiting, and we've gotten together several times. We went swimming on Monday. Monday was a holiday here. So we went to the swimming pool, and that was a lot of fun. And they've come over here a couple times. We've gone to parks together. Yeah. We hope to go to the beach at some point, but the weather went from being really, really nice to not quite so nice. So the weather's supposed to get nicer again next week. Christina Kitten is absolutely mad to go to the beach. She loves going to the beach. So yeah, hopefully the weather will improve. And hopefully it will not be a month before I do the next one of these video podcasts. So that's pretty much me caught up. I don't think we have anything else. Catherine did have her 27-week review. I remember when Kitten did it, we went in and they had a bunch of little game things laid out. We'd had a questionnaire in advance, but then there were lots of games played out, and they're like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And had her work through them. And with Catherine, like, we showed up and she went through the thing, was like, okay, everything's fine. So that was that. Kitten had been 9th centile for weight and 50th centile for height. And Catherine is 9th centile for height and 50th centile for weight. And she's not chubby. I mean, she was really chubby when she was a baby, and she's definitely stockier than Kitten is, but there's no chub. After a big meal, she'll have a nice round tum, but that's about it. She doesn't have any fat folds on her legs or arms, or she's not particularly soft, so she's just stockier than Kitten is, and not as tall. So, which bears out with my experience in dressing her, that she's, like, the clothes she's wearing versus what Kitten wore around the same age. People keep saying how tiny she is, and I'm like, she doesn't look tiny, because I'm used to, I mean, Kitten was just this wee little sliver of a thing. But yeah, so, but she's strong and she's healthy, and she's getting on really well with her language, and she's doing really well with potty training, doing well with feeding herself. So both my kids are doing really well. The weather hopefully will be nicer next week, and hopefully I'll have some more knitting caught up. And yeah, sorry I'm starting to babble. I'm getting really tired, so I'm going to stop before I embarrass myself, frankly. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you will tune in next time, which hopefully will be next week and not June. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will talk to you next time. Bye.